Hello and welcome to Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends. I am Colred. Thank you for joining me today. The portal is purple. It is a fake purple though. It is not a 2x Void Shard event, which, as you know, as a free-to-play player, that's the only time I recommend anybody pulling Void Shards is during a 2x event. But there is something to talk about today, which is that the 10x event that's going on is for a champion known as CARDIEL. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you may know that I own CARDIEL. He was the first Void Lego I ever pulled from a shard, and he is by far my favorite champion. He's the champion that actually made me fall in love with Raid. So this guy is responsible for me being here in this video today. If it wasn't for him, I definitely would not be doing this. So I want to talk about him, not because I'm recommending you go for him, but if you did in fact go for him and happen to get lucky enough to pull him, or if you pulled him recently during the 2x Void Shard event last time, then this is a champion that is really just going to absolutely transform your account. And I don't really want to do a champion guide so much as I want to just kind of show off what these top tier legendaries can look like. There were probably 6 or 7 champions that you could make a claim are the best champion in the game. I think CARDIEL is one of the champions in that conversation. I wouldn't go outright and claim he's the best champion in the game. He's definitely the best champion on my account. And if you think he's the best champion in the game, I'm not going to argue with you. If you think maybe it's Krisk, if you think maybe it's Duchess, if you think maybe it's a Krizzy or a Yumiko, like, I'm also not going to argue those. Those champions are amazing. And if you got one of those champions, they could do for you and your account what CARDIEL has done for me and my account. So really, I just want to show him off, show you what he can do. I'll talk about his build a little bit. We will go through it like it's a champion guide, but it's also going to be a little bit of just a celebration of these really top tier, amazing champions and give you maybe something to look forward to. We've got another shard pull event coming up in a little bit over a week. So maybe you're going to pull somebody out of that shard event, or maybe one event down the line that's absolutely going to transform your account. And so it's just fun to look forward and see what these champions can do. So without further ado, let's dive into CARDIEL of the Sacred Order, my favorite champion. Okay, so the first thing to do when we look at any kind of champion, we're doing a little bit of a champion guide, is to look at their stats and their kit. So let's just look at CARDIEL's stats here. Now, his base HP is pretty high, almost 20k. Remember, he is a support-based champion. So that's decent for survivability. Attack is over 1000, so not too bad. Defense is 1255, okay. Again, not too bad. All of these stats are solid, not super impressive. His base speed of 106 is very nice. He does also have 50 resistance, which is nice, but no accuracy. He does need accuracy for one thing in his kit, but this is not a champion where you have to worry about a lot of accuracy. So good base stats, not god tier base stats, but good solid all around base stats, which actually makes a lot of sense because he is an all around champion. This is not a support that just does one thing. This is a support that does almost everything. So now let's look at his skills and you'll see what I mean. Okay, the A1 is his only attack. It attacks one enemy and heals all allies by 7.5% of their max HP. This will also place a True Fear debuff for 1 turn if the target is a champion from Demon Spawn, Undead Hordes, or Night Revenants. Okay, now that is something that is going to be repeated as a theme throughout his kit. You're going to see that again. So the first thing you might say is, okay, well, 7.5% of their max HP isn't necessarily a ton of a heal. Remember, this is also an attack, but I kind of compare this to, in my mind, I compare this to Syl of the Drake's passive heal. Syl of the Drake gets a 10% heal every turn. Now, she can't be stunned out of it the way CARDIEL can. If he's stunned here, he doesn't do his attack, so he doesn't get the heal off. But so you're going from 7.5% to 10%. If you book this out with the extra 20%, you're getting roughly a 9% max HP heal. That's a pretty good heal for what's also an attack that can also put a debuff. And this debuff is the one thing that requires accuracy. So you might want a little bit of accuracy in his kit, especially if you're going to use him in Arena. He can be very powerful in Arena, and landing this True Fear can be really a nice effect on that A1 if you're going up against champions in the Demon Spawn, Night Revenant, or Undead factions, and you will find a lot of those in Arena. I find that I True Fear Ultimate Death Knights all the time, which is kind of funny. That doesn't necessarily remove his passive, but it does kind of feel like a little bit of revenge. Additionally, there are a ton of really strong nukers, so if you get a Candrafon or somebody like that, you can True Fear the Candrafon. So the True Fear does actually play more than you might think it. Now, the A2 is extremely powerful. This removes all debuffs from all allies. then places a block debuffs buff and a revive on death buff on all allies for 2 turns. The revive on death buffs cannot be removed. So if you take the first part of this, this is an AoE cleanse. AoE cleanse on a 3-turn cooldown, that's really nice. This is not like reduces the duration of debuffs by 1 turn or removes one random debuff. This removes all debuffs, so it's the most powerful version of the cleanse. And then in addition to that, it places a block debuffs on all of your champions. So this is a 2-in-1 cleanse. It's the cleanse of anything you've been hit by, and it's the preventative measure against any other things hitting you. This is probably the most powerful cleanse or version of cleanse in the game. I think there's only one other, or maybe 2 other champions who have this version of cleanse. And then in addition to those cleanses, you've got a revive on death that can't be removed, which is really nice. So when he puts a revive on death on you and you die, you're coming back. Okay, so he's a reviver, he's a healer, he's a cleanser, and a block debuffs buffer. So you've got a lot of really good support skills right here. And again, 3-turn cooldown. And remember, the heal is coming off of those attacks, right? Every time he A1s. Now let's go ahead and look at his A3. So this places an increased crit rate buff and an increased crit damage buff on all allies for 2 turns. And then it's an all ally attack. And the reason I call it an all ally attack is because some ally attacks specify the number of champions that join the attack. It might be 1, 2, 4, 5. This is all. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you're using him. When you use this ally attack, every single champion on the team who's alive will attack with him. Remember, they use their A1s, but you can then make him the ally attacker for a blender comp in Arena. You can use him in wave content if you have, Artak or somebody out there who's doing AoEs, AoE burns. You can get those out there. There's a lot of different champions you can team up with an ally attacker. In addition, this decreases the cooldown of this skill by 1 turn and if an enemy is killed from this attack, which is going to happen quite a bit, especially in Arena. If you decide to ally attack one champion on the other team, and you've built your team the right way, chances are you're nuking that champion out. By the way, he's pretty good against Duchess. Remember that Duchess is in one of those factions that he can true fear, so you can do an ally attack against her, maybe nuke her out, but if you don't nuke her out, you've also got a chance of landing that fear if your accuracy is high enough. One of the nice additional things about this skill is that he will often be your team lead, right? He has an aura of increases ally speed in all battles by 19%. So this is not a super high number, but for all battles, it's very good. So he definitely can step in the place of, your High Katoon or your Deacon Armstrong and give you the same speed aura. So you're not losing that speed when you switch to a new lead. So you're still getting that. But then remember that he's also giving you increased crit rate. So if he's going to be your speed lead, you're all around in every team speed lead, you can build all of your nukers, basically, anybody that you team up with Cardiel, with 70% crit rate. And then they're going to get that extra 30% damage boost from the crit damage buff. So this is a 2-turn buff on a 4-turn cooldown. You have to be aware of that. So you may still want to build your nukers with 100% crit rate. That's up to you. I typically do that in PvE content anyway, because I don't pair them with Cardiel 100%. It's like 95%. But, that's just something to keep in mind, that you can potentially save some stats on your nukers and then build them with 70% crit rate and get more damage out of them through their main stat or through their crit damage stat. Cardiel also has this passive, which is actually fairly powerful. Allies receive 20% less damage from champions from the Demon Spawn, Undead Horde, or Night Revenant's faction. Again, hey, you come up against the Candrafon in, Arena, your whole team is taking 20% less damage from Candy, just because of this passive. Also true for any, nukers in the Undead Hordes or Knights Revenant factions, of which there are several really strong nukers. So this can be really a great spot pick for like live Arena if you're going up against those particular faction champions. In addition, whenever an ally attacks, Cardiel has a 30% chance when booked to team up with them and join their attack. Okay, so 30% of the time when one of your other champion goes, he goes, and again, he's hitting with that A1, so he's healing the whole team, and he's potentially dropping another fear. This champion will attack with their default skill, the A1, always joins Sissia Flametongue's attacks if they are on the same team. So if you have Sissia, that's a 100% chance for Sissia and 30% chance for everybody else that Cardiel will join their attack. can only join an ally's attack once per turn. That's fine. Per turn is that champion's turn, not his turn. So he can join every ally's attack, but only once. So if they get an extra attack for some reason, he won't join their second attack. If they get an extra turn, that counts as a new turn, and he could join again. Cardiel will not team up with an ally, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? Okay, so he won't join up with them on counterattacks. This is incredibly powerful. So now when we're talking about this passive of healing, he's getting 9% of their max HP healed on his A1. Remember, when he does his ally attack, he's attacking with his A1, so that's more healing. And then he also has the opportunity to join in with other members of his team when they attack, and that is more healing. He's an amazing healer. I would say he's probably on par with like Syl of the Drakes. Like, he's not going to overpower you with heals, but he can be your only healer if you build him in particular ways in particular fights. Sometimes you want maybe a little bit of extra cushion for that healing, and you bring in another healing champion who's not a super strong healer, but he can definitely work really well with like a Syl of the Drakes or a Doom Priest or somebody else who is not a massive healer, but is providing some steady heals as well. So yeah, he can be your primary healer. He can be sort of a joint healer and a healing duo, but he's going to provide you with a lot of survivability. All right, let's take a look at his masteries. Now, you can actually build Cardiel with almost any masteries you like. It doesn't matter which tree you take. It more matters which tree you take depending on what job you'd like him to do. I run him against every boss in the game, so I want him to have War Master. This is incredibly important for me because he provides a lot of damage with all those extra hits. Remember, he's doing extra hits because he's joining his allies' attacks 30% of the time. I also have Sissy of Flame Tongue, so it's even more than that. So this War Master, especially for clan boss, does a lot of damage. I would probably, and in fact, I may redo his masteries because I don't think I needed to come down both sides of the offense tree. I would have preferred to put a little bit more in support. But you could certainly make him tankier with the defense tree. You could also get him to counterattack. You could use Cycle of Revenge, which is a nice counterattack. You could use Retribution, which is a counterattack. And remember, every time he counterattacks, he's going to get those heals off on his A1. So counterattacking with Cardiel can be a really good strategy to keep your team alive. As far as the support tree is concerned, I did go full into the healing side of the tree, and I would highly recommend that. One of the things that you have to know is if you're going to use him in clan boss, you can't use any of the turn meter masteries in the support tree. So for instance, you have to stay away from rapid response. Okay. Whenever a buff whenever a buff expires, he has a chance to get extra turn meter. You can't use this one. For clan boss, you could use this one. Has a 30% chance of increasing turn meter when a debuff expires, because he won't ever debuff the clan boss. But I honestly don't think that's a very worthwhile mastery on Cardiel, because he only has one debuff and it's conditional only against those factions. So I would probably say, I might come here into Exalt on Death, so he gets extra heals, more survivability. Stay here with a little bit of extra accuracy, which is probably the best other mastery in tier 3. Then come down here for Lore of Steel, and that's going to allow you to build him with more defenses and more speed. More easily, even more offense, depending on how you're building. Okay, let's look at his blessing now. Now, I have chosen Cruelty, and I think Cruelty is actually a perfect blessing for Cardiel. It might feel a little bit weird at first to put Cruelty on a support champion like this, but I'm going to give you a couple of reasons why, and I think you're going to understand my rationale. First of all, he does damage based on attack. That's great. HP means he's going to be more survivable. That's great. Crit damage means more damage. Fine. Remember, I have him in a clan boss team, right? But the bigger issue here is that he's going to decrease defense on targets. He is in every boss team that I have. Every single boss in the game, I use Cardiel. All right, I'm not lying about that. I'm going to show you that that's true. So he's now got 5 stars. So he's going to decrease the defense of those bosses by 2% every hit. And that means everybody in the team is going to hit harder when Cardiel is here. Okay, so I can remove up to 15% of any boss's defense. So more damage on the clan boss, more damage on the dungeon bosses, more damage on the Doom Tower bosses, more damage on Iron Twins. So he's going to get that damage out there for everybody else by lowering defenses. Okay, now let's look at my build. Now, just like masteries, you can pretty much put any kind of masteries on Cardiel and it's going to work because he does so much. Same thing with your build here. You can put almost any set on him that you like. You could certainly boost his HP pool pretty high. He starts at, 19.6K. So if you wanted to use those kinds of sets, you could do that. You could put him in a kind of a regeneration set, make him more tanky, more survivable. Could certainly make him really, really fast. That would be good. Just go with 3 speed sets. Put him there in arena. I would probably do that if I was going for arena. Although you might want to think about perception to try to get those fears off. You need more accuracy there. But the big thing that I chose here is not so much this set. I needed a specific speed for my clan boss speed tune. So once I reached those speeds, I went for extra damage in the way of a crit damage set. So he gets a little bit more crit damage off. Not a ton, but you can see his crit damage is over 200%, which is solid. He does have a 100% crit rate. And you might think, okay, why not build him with extra defenses? You could. But he actually hits decently hard. And remember, he gets extra attacks. He gets a ton more attacks. So even though his multipliers aren't super high, he's going to be the most frequently attacking champion on your team. And he's going to get more of those War Master procs if you have him out there. And you want him to just be hitting as much as possible. So why not get him to 100% crit rate and a decent amount of crit damage? I would actually boost this if I could, because he does a lot of damage. People don't think he does a lot of damage. But not only does he personally do good damage, but because of his ally attack and because of his blessing where he's lowering the defenses of bosses, he's enabling your entire team composition, my entire team composition, to do more damage. The most important part of this build is actually probably the revenge accessories. I have loaded 3 onto him. So he is doing counterattacks 15% of the time. Now, I know that's not exactly how it works, but bear with me. And then what I would say is, if you were going down that defense tree and getting those other counterattack masteries, you could even go in a retaliation set if you wanted with them. You get a lot of extra heals off of those counterattacks. Put him with a counterattack champion. Put him with like a Valkyrie or somebody, and he's going to get more counterattacks. That's more healing for your team. So anything you can do to get him more attacks is good. You could even put him in a relentless set. A relentless set is great on Cardiel. You get more abilities off. And his abilities are strong, but you want to remember that this particular ability doesn't do damage or heal your team. So having it on a shorter cooldown is great. That's definitely worthwhile. But that if you put him in a relentless set, you may actually have him do fewer attacks than he would otherwise, right? So speed might be better than relentless if you're specifically worried about damage and healing. If you're more worried about cleanses, then a relentless set is really good. Also, you enable more ally attacks, so the overall damage is going to be better with that. You're just going to do a little bit less healing. Okay, so finally, let's look at his total stats, and you'll notice that his total stats aren't out of this world. They're solid. 47k HP is okay on a support. 4,000 defense is very solid. He's very survivable. And remember, this is with building him with 100% crit rate. So I could get more survivability out of him probably by boosting the HP. I wouldn't go above 4k defense on Cardiel. I don't think you need it. Obviously, you could put more speed on him. If you're not going to use him in a clan boss tune, you may just want to go for more speed and more speed and more speed. Get him to 300, 350 if you can. Put as much speed on him as you can, because the more turns he takes, the more powerful he is. Likewise, you could put a lot of resistance. If you're going to use him in arena, I would pump this resistance, get this resistance up to like 350 if you can, somewhere around there. You're going to get a lot, maybe even higher. You're going to get a lot more value out of him with high resistance in the arena, because he is your cleanser. So you don't want him stunned. You don't want him frozen. You want him to be able to resist those things. Get as high as you can if you're going to use him in the arena, even 400, 500 if you can do it. And then accuracy. If you can pile some accuracy on him, that's great. Remember, in a lot of cases, you're going to try to use those true fears against nukers, and nukers don't have a lot of resistance typically. So you're not going to fear a lot of supports. Like sometimes I fear Duchess, but usually it's a low resistance Duchess. Most Duchesses resist my fears at 245 accuracy. So I would have to push for like 400 or 500 accuracy. And that means I would lose something else somewhere, whether that's defense or crit rate or whatever it happens to be. So depending on where you want to use him, you might want to change these stats around a little bit. Okay, so now I'm laughing to myself because I'm going to show you where I use Cardiel. I've been playing for about 26 or 27 months, and I got him in month 4. I had just returned to the game. I played about 3 months, quit the game, came back like a year and a half later, pulled Cardiel in maybe my first week back or second week back. Looked at him, I was like, this guy seems strong. Built him out, and he transformed my account instantaneously. I've never taken him out of the team sheet since. He is the captain of every team that I run. And I feel weird when I take him out of teams. There are sometimes I try to experiment with teams that don't have Cardiel in it. And it almost seems like, I'm betraying him somehow because he's that powerful. And in a lot of cases, I end up putting him back anyway. So I'm just going to show you where I use him right now. And I didn't set this up. This is completely honestly the way my account is just set up right now. So let's go in the dungeons and let's see what happens in the Iron Twins Fortress. Okay, he's not here. That's the only place I think he's not here. All right, he's not in Minotaur's Labyrinth either because, you don't need to do that. But let's look at everywhere else. Ice Golem, 25. Yep, Cardiel's lead. Okay. How about Spider's Den? Oh, Cardiel's my lead. How about Dragon's Lair? Oh, Cardiel's my lead. Okay. Let's try Fire Knight's Castle. Cardiel. Oh, he's not the lead, but he's on the team. I must think for some reason here that wave clearing is better with the extra attack, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I don't need the extra speed. That could just be a mistake, honestly. Maybe I was just messing around with something. He probably should be the team lead here, but he's not. That's okay. That's fine. Still on the squad. Let's look at Sand Devil's Necropolis. He might not be here. No, he is. He's the lead. He's the lead. Okay. Phantom Shogun's Grove. Yep, he's the lead there. This is silly. I know it's silly. All right, it can't be everywhere. He can't be an arena, right? Let's pick somebody. We'll just do this. An arena. Yep, there he is. He's not the lead because obviously Arbiter has a higher speed aura. But he's there. He's there. He is a single target nuke. You don't think he is because he's a support, but remember he has an ally attack, and I have a Genbo, which means Genbo basically gets 2 turns. He gets Cardiel's turn, and then he also gets his own turn. So he's a single target nuke, Cardiel is a single target nuke, and then Genbo is the AoE nuke later on. I could also put him in a blender comp right here, so I could take out, Deacon Armstrong and Genbo and put in like a Skull Crown and a Ray or something, and then he blows teams up that way too. How about 3v3 arena? There he is. He's not a lead right now. Oh, I got him in a team with Skullcrown who has a higher speed aura, but there he is. He's floating around. All right, where else could we use him? Doom Tower? Sure, let's use him in Doom Tower. All right, so this is hard Doom Tower, floor 101 I'm up to right now. Yep, he's the lead. Okay. How about all the bosses in Doom Tower? Cardiel lead. Cardiel lead. Cardiel lead. Cardiel lead. All 4 bosses have a team that is Cardiel lead. So I've cleared all of these bosses up to stage or floor 100 here with a Cardiel lead. It's getting silly. I know. Trust me. I know. But when you get a champion like this, you just look for places to use them. And when they are awesome in those uses, you never take them out. Why would you? Where else can we use them? Faction Wars, of course, he's in Faction Wars team. Clan Boss. Let's look at Clan Boss. All right, let's look at Hydra Boss. I'll just jump in. It doesn't matter with difficulty. Oh, there he is. He's not the lead. Why? Because Mighty Uko has 1 extra speed percentage on his aura. That's the only reason. Before I had Mighty Uko, Cardiel was my lead. What about regular Clan Boss? Demon Lord. Yep, there he is. Look, 130 million, 1 key. Why? Cardiel is my lead. He makes it easier to build your teams at the speed tunes that you need, like the speed you need to speed tune. Like these speeds are pretty high on these champions, but they're 19 or 20 points lower than they would be without Cardiel in the lead, right? He also brings a cleanse and a block debuff, so I don't have to worry about stun. He makes every run affinity friendly. He also brings all that ally attack, which is extra damage. He brings his own damage because he joins attack. You pair him with a Seeker who gets extra turns. He joins more. It's just snowball. So unfortunately, I've done an Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss team here, but I'm just going to go ahead and do a Nightmare key here. And I am, in fact, just going to quick battle it, and let's see how much damage he does. Think about it right now. Just look at that team and think about, who's going to do the most damage, who's the second most damage, how big is the damage difference going to be? Taking a little while. There we go. All right, and you'll notice 48 million on Ninja. Obviously, Ninja is the big carry here. 21 million, 22 million on Helicath, which is actually pretty impressive. Here's Cardiel with 24 million damage. And he's built not as a damage dealer. I mean, he has 100% crit rate and a little bit of crit damage, but he's built as an all-around support. And remember, he's getting more damage than this. Like, he accounts for more than 24 million damage because he's reduced the clan boss's armor by 15%. Plus, he has the allied attack where everybody else gets an extra attack and gets damage, right? So potentially he might be accounting for 40 million damage, maybe more, right? So he could be doing almost as much damage as Ninja here. That's crazy. That's crazy. And people tell you build him super tanky because he's just a support and he doesn't do much damage. Also, they'll tell you he doesn't heal that well. You'll hear a lot of things about it. All of it's lies. It's lies. He's awesome. He's perfect. He's great. Okay, so I know I'm geeking out over my favorite champion. That's what I'm doing right now. And yes, he is absolutely an amazing champion, and you can literally use him anywhere. And if you can envision a use for Cardiel and you have him, just go and do it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't, and don't let anybody else tell you how you have to build him to make him work. He works in every build that you can imagine, right? It's like, you could put him in a toxic set. Why not? He gets extra attacks. You want more poisons out there? Put him in a toxic set. I probably wouldn't put him in a stun set. That's a little bit silly. But again, he gets extra attacks, so you could put him in a stun set, especially if you're going down the defense mastery tree, right? What about, regeneration? Yeah, absolutely put him in regeneration. Resistance? Sure. Why not put him in resistance? He's a cleanser. Immunity? Yep, immunity. You could put him in, any perception set? Sure. Why don't we get that accuracy up so we can land more fears? So if you can think of a way to build him, there's a set out there you can put him in. Retaliation? Relentless? Yeah. Guardian? Why not? Like, you could put him in all of those sets. Shield set? Yeah, he's got a decent HP pool, right? So there is nothing you can't do with this champion. You could even change the accessories. You could go from, you could go from a revenge ring, and you could instead, I don't have any right here, but let's see. You could put a blood shield ring on him, right? You get a shield on him every time he goes, put him into against Scarab Boss. He's going to make your Scarab Boss team go. Put a reaction ring on him. Why not? He's your cleanser in arena. He's your support in arena. He's your revive on death in arena. Make sure that he doesn't die. There isn't a piece of gear that's bad on this guy. All right, finally, I want to show you something. Just in case you think, oh, well, Colred, this is your favorite champion. Obviously, you think he's amazing, and I do. And I fully admit that. I'm totally biased when it comes to this champion. But let me show you some other people's opinions about my favorite champion. Okay, so I have come here to Aftershock United just to check out their tier list. And this is the top of their tier list. And as you can see, as I scroll down on the first page, here is Cardiel at number 10. He is graded at an 83.1 overall. And so he is ranked number 10, just a little bit behind Marishka and Prince Kaimar. I would disagree with this rating a little bit, but at least they've put him in the top 10. I would put him ahead of several of these champions. I actually think, realistically, I would always rank him in the top 6. That's just the way I feel about it. Now, I don't own every one of these other champions. I don't have an Acrizia. I don't have a Yumiko. I don't have a Duchess. So, I don't know about all of these other champions. Obviously, I know about Cardiel very well. I've had him for almost 2 years. But I do think that, everybody's got their own opinion about how good a particular champion is. And he is ranked number 10 on Aftershock United's tier list of every champion in the game. When we're talking about 800 champions, he is number 10 out of 800. So that's pretty good. Now I have jumped over to HH Gaming. So this is Hell Hades tier list. I'm just going to let you see all the names there. And as you can see, these are all of the ranked 5 overall champions. So Hell Hades ranks on a scale of 0 to 5. And as you can see, it goes down to 4.5 after Yumiko. So these are all alphabetical. And these are all of the best champions that are ranked at the highest rank possible from Hell Hades. And I believe there's something like 17 of them. There are 18 of them. So 18 champions in the entire game out of all 800 champions have a 5 overall rating. Now, the other thing I want you to look at here is that, okay, Cardiel is one of them, right? Obviously. But as you go across, you'll notice some of these, rank 5 champions or rating 5 rating champions, whatever you want to call them, they don't have 5s all the way across. Here's Duchess Lilitu, who, if you'll recall, was number 1 on Aftershock United's list, right? Hell Hades is saying 4 on clan boss, 4 on dungeons, 4 on hard modes, and 5 everywhere else. So very, very good. But Cardiel, look at his row. 5 clan boss, 5 Hydra, 5 dungeons, 5 hard modes, 5 arena, 5 Tomb Tower. Hell Hades, you got it right. This guy is a 5 everywhere. And I don't think there's a Doom Tower boss you can't use him against. Like, even in Doom Tower, he's not just a 5 against the bosses you can use him against. He's a 5 against every boss, I think. I'm trying to, imagine a scenario where you wouldn't want him on your team sheet in Doom Tower, and I can't think of one. The only other champion on Hell Hades' list that has pure 5s is Mithrala. 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all the way across. And remember, she's a free champion you can farm from Hydra boss, right? So if you don't already think Mithrala is worth going for and you're not in the Hydra clan boss, go jump in the Hydra clan boss and get one of only 2 perfectly rated champions from Hell Hades tier list here. My boy Cardiel and Mithrala. I have them both, by the way. I got my Mithrala, and I would agree that these 2 champions are worth perfect 5s. I don't know that anybody else isn't worth a perfect 5 because I don't have every champion in the game, but I will say it makes sense to me that these 2 are perfect 5s across the board. Okay, so that is it for my fanboy edition of a champion spotlight or deep dive into a champion. This guy is amazing. He looks super cool. His character model is ridiculous. His animations are fun. There's nothing about this champion I don't really like. So if you have been lucky enough to pull him today during a 10 times event, even though you know you shouldn't be pulling, congratulations. You just received an amazing champion. If you have this champion and you haven't built him out already, please do. Build him any way you want and put him in every fight you can imagine and see what he can do. I guarantee you he's going to make you happy. He's definitely going to help you out. Thank you for coming with me on this journey of celebrating my favorite champion in the game. If you have a favorite champion in the game, let me know who that is in the comments below, because I think we all know the feeling of just having like an emotional, excited attachment to a particular champion who you think, makes your account go, who you experiment with, who you put in every fight, and you have so much fun using on your team compositions. So whoever that is for you, please let me know, and let me know why. Why is that your favorite champion? Why do you get so excited about that particular champion? I want to hear those stories, and we can maybe compare. We can see who's better, Cardiel or your champion. I think you already know my opinion, but definitely I would love to hear those stories. And yeah, that's it. So I have been Colred. Thank you so much for joining me. I will see you in another video very soon.